So I started looking around for some websites, and here is one that I found that is updated. I forget how often this says it updates. I think it said every 30 minutes. Here you can see it was last updated March 25th, 2020 at 0010, whatever. I don't read all that stuff. Just throw me some Western reading o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. But as you can see, total global cases 421,317. Total deaths 18,810. Now here's a number you're never going to see in the mainstream media. Recovered 108,000. But then maybe somebody might bring it up, but then they'll go, yes, but there's 421,000 cases and only 108,000 have recovered. Well, slow down, Tonto. No need to get too excited here. So again, they don't want you to look at the hard numbers because the hard numbers tell a different story. And again, if you scroll down here, you can see now China still leads the world with over 81,000 cases. Italy's at 69,000. The United States is now third place with 53,000. Again, Italy leads in death toll. China was 3,277. Italy is 6,820. The United States is at 698. That is a marketed difference. There's a lot of reasons for it. Now, we know that America, United States, has not peaked yet in this virus. We have not hit our peak. But we're kind of ahead of the curve, considering this started out in China. And like a wave across the ocean or an air current going around the planet, well, it made its way over through India. It's made its way into Iran, and then made its way over into Eastern Europe, going into Western Europe. It's already here. So following that wave around, then one of the first things you're going to notice is one of these things, one of these pandemics starts to die, most likely it's going to start dying in the place it started. And that's what I told people from the beginning. You're going to have to watch China's numbers. But again, there's a lot of people out there that are very, deservedly so, distrusting of China in releasing critical, relevant, truthful information. So I get into some conversations with some people on Facebook, and they like to bring this stuff out. And I'll get back to that in just a second. But one of the things that I want to point out here from a conversation that I had in Facebook, and how do you like our guys' new, how do you like our new screensaver here? Hey, there you go. R.A.F.O.N report. Up here you can see, you can find us in a Facebook page. We also have a Facebook group. Our primary website is www.rafonreport.com. Now again, if y'all like what you're hearing, if you like what you're seeing, you can throw me a few bucks over here on PayPal. There's my PayPal link. We are also on Twitter. Now, I still haven't quite figured out Patreon, so we haven't got everything put over there yet, but we're eventually going to bring that in. But again, in a conversation with somebody in social media where we were discussing actual numbers, where are you getting them from? Who can you trust? Are you cross-comparing from different sources? And of course, I always do this. But the thing that I wanted to bring up here is something that I happened to mention to this person in this conversation. And I said, the number of actual cases and actual deaths is always up for debate. And it is. So in a case like that, it's not a relevant argument. Because this, Billy's going to go over to this website, Betty's going to go over to this website, Bob's going to go over to this website, Frank's going to think they're all nuts, and Tony thinks they're all just losing their minds. Because they're all using different sources. So, of course, the numbers are going to conflict, if nothing else at times, before the updates. But we have to go with what's available. Now, and this is one of the most consistent updating websites that I have been on, and that is the one that I just showed you, but this is the link for it. It's www. You like that? www.worldometers.info/coronavirus/ the word countries, plural. Now, again, they try to scare everybody with the number of cases over here and the death total over here, and then they try to present that as if that's normal, what's expected, and it's not. It's fear-mongering by the media. It's almost a false flag, if you know what a false flag is. There's a lot of misconceptions about what a false flag is. False flag doesn't mean the event did not take place. False flag does not mean nobody was hurt. False flag does not mean nobody died. False flag means something happened. We're not being told the correct information. Not that we're not being told everything, because that's another unending argument. But that we're being told a lot of lies and a lot of misinformation on purpose. It is being done on purpose for many reasons and many agendas and special interests. But if we want to look at raw numbers, total numbers, well, we haven't had 500,000 cases worldwide. By contrast, here in the United States, we had over 60 million cases of the H1N1 back in 2009. That wound up killing over 12,000 Americans. I read somewhere it was somewhere near 300,000 hospitalized. With the situation we're currently in, approximately 56,000 cases now. So by contrast, you look at all of these numbers and you're left scratching your head. And the big thing about it that I point to is in 2009, when we had this going around, 60 million cases, 300,000 hospitalized, 12,000 dead, nothing was shut down. Nothing. The NBA didn't cancel the season. Disney didn't close their doors. The president didn't get on the television and say, stay in your house. But look what's going on now. And to play the devil's advocate, somebody would say, yes, but we're trying to prevent a repeat or, God forbid, something worse. But we're not dealing with as big a monster. And again, you have to look at multiple sets of numbers. You can't just be led by one, because all they're doing is they're just grabbing you by the shirt collar and just yanking you down the road. All you do is go out there and preach what we tell you. So again, Italy has a 10% rate, and that's bad. That's bad enough. But the global rate right now is at about 4.4% mortality rate. Approximately 4.4% of those that get infected with this, that get discovered with this, do die. And again, it's horrible that it happens. But again, you got 10% in Italy, you got 4.4% globally. Here in the United States, it's barely 1.3%. Our seasonal flu, our seasonal flu is about 1% mortality rate. So right now with this thing, this is supposed to be this great big boogeyman. It's barely deadlier than our seasonal flu, at least in America at this point in time. So hopefully that'll clear out a lot of the fear-mongers trying to, oh, but wait. Again, I said earlier, America has not peaked. It's going to look a lot worse than what it currently does, but it is still going to pale in comparison into the 2009 H1N1 incident. And as far as the contagion level, again, this thing, at least in America for now, it is showing itself to be a little more contagious than the flu, or a little deadlier than the flu. But it is nowhere near as contagious. That is easy to see just by the present numbers that we have, and no matter how you scale the models. If you scale the models on actual number of cases and actual numbers of death that we have now, you can't compare this to H1N1. You can't compare it to SARS. I mean, it boggles my mind, because here in America, We have tens of thousands of people that die of the flu each and every single year. Tens of thousands. Usually you go to like the CDC. They'll tell you it's somewhere around 30,000 a year. Just depends on the year, the strain of the flu, how early it comes in, how long it lasts. But we're being shoveled a lot of bullcrap here. We're being shoveled a lot of bullcrap to swallow here. And most of us are swallowing it. So again, when you have such a low rate here in the United States, and you have such an explosive rate in Italy, and as the media likes to use the fear, they're going to take the worst case scenarios that they find in Italy, and they're going to say, oh, look what can happen here. It's not going to happen here in the United States. It's not going to happen here. We're not going to wind up with 50% of Italy's deaths. We're not. It's just not. The models don't allow it to go anywhere near that at present. Again, 1.2%. And as I was explaining with that wave going around the planet, we're kind of ahead of the curve here because now they've got some remedies, multiple types or combinations. I don't know. Everybody gets so sticky with the word cure anymore. It's like, oh no, you can't say it's a cure. But tests, not clinical, these are actual human tests from China, from South Korea, and from France, proved the drugs hydroxyquinine, or I forget exactly how in the world you say these things because I'm looking at so much information. But they've got where you can use the one type or you can combine that with another drug. There's other combinations. And unfortunately, we have health professionals the world over that are even crying because people are using this and taking it for granted, so to speak, because it's been proven to work. These studies, I don't even want to call them studies because it was actual cases, they were 100%. There's a guy here, I just read an article the other day, a guy here in Florida. I think he said he had it like for a total of 9 days. Excuse me. And some were getting towards the end of his bout with this. He contacted family and friends and everything, and he said goodbye. He was prepared to die. He was certain that he was going to die. Well, somebody visiting him or somebody at the hospital heard about this drug combination or different types of drugs that have proven to work. They gave it to the guy. The very next morning, he woke up in the hospital and he was fine. Now, of course, it would still take time to fully recover, but he was fine in comparison to believing that he was on his deathbed. So, again, we have to look at all of the sets of numbers. Italy is tragic, but it's tragic for a lot of reasons, and one of the reasons is the comparison percentage of senior citizens. I'm pretty sure I saw a video pointed out where Italy is like the second in the world for highest number of senior citizens. I don't know exactly what the title was. It's something like Health Minister or something of Italy said that 99, and this was like 3 days ago, so I don't know if anything new's come out, but it was like 3 days ago, they said 99% of all deaths in Italy were people with pre-existing conditions. And so this virus simply exacerbated those things. Whether, diabetes, lung disease, heart disease, just a bunch of the things that really tear us apart the older that we get. And, your body's only going to last so long and it starts to break down. So when I look at these comparisons, I'm looking at the hard numbers. And again, when I just call it the left, but when they're out there screaming these panic and this hysteria, this absolute ridiculous hysteria, we got to look at the hard numbers. And again, we don't even have 500,000 cases worldwide yet. Here in America, we have tens of thousands of deaths every year from the flu. And I find a lot of this upsetting and disheartening because we've become numb. We've become numb to those tens of thousands that die every year of the flu in comparison to something that is nowhere near contagious. And look what we're doing to the economy. I can't believe the stuff that's going on. It's absolutely mind blowing. Businesses that have shut down, services that have been ordered to shut down. I read there was one place, they had passed a certain type of lockdown. If you were caught out and about and you did not have a good reason, it's $1,000 fine the first time. Second time, your butt's going to the pokey. You're going to jail. I find this stuff absolutely ludicrous.